Wait, what?
I just thought it was something new. Yeah. You talked about it. Well, you gotta change it.
Hi, welcome.
That's very good.
Did something happen. That's heavy. It's the feeling. You know,
I feel like people are gonna comment on the whole lack of stability.
What is that thing again that, I always run across catnip. It's not catnip, it's,
Catnip.
I forget what you call those little chocolate things. I just think of catnip when I think of that. It just sounds like a funny word to me. I know my husband took a with me to PS.
Oh yeah.
And she got us to do the water because we didn't go that
Mm-hmm.
day.
Oh yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was crazy. She goes, what should have been here? Because I guess she said mine was different than a lot of
A
people
lot
who were
of
there.
people, yeah.
But my husband was fishless, namely that he tasted old. It was
That liver function and definitely some issues and the stagnation. So here's what happens is as your body is metabolizing and doing its job, each area technically holds into certain types of acids and compounds inside those cells. So you're more prone to certain areas and certain issues. So because the liver is fatty, the reason why you're pulling carboxyl acids out, and that's got a very high level of medium chain triglyceride in. So that's okay. And that's one of those places where you can actually get to pull that up out of the tongue. The tongue will tell you everything. So it is one of those processes where we'll get to but you've just got to start working on it, and the water will actually help solve the problem.
That is so strange. I need something to calm me down today.
So yeah, so things like schizonderberry, things like MSM, turmeric, reishi, all those are going to be beneficial. But what's nice is that with the actual Cosmogy liquid, it'll start pulling the acids away from the cells and actually letting you detox them. So once it bonds those acids out of the cells, then they don't go back into the cell and form more acids. Now, obviously, if you're a professional drinking champion, and that's your whole lifestyle and profession, you're probably going to keep damaging your liver. So,
he will have 2 or 3 or 4 if he's going to drink.
Yeah.
It's not every day by any means.
Right, but it's just one of those places where, and everything we do in life causes some type of issue, some type of damage. Just we don't usually feel it until there's a big concern or a pain or a problem. So as we're going through this whole developmental process with that particular liquid, just like coconut oil pulling, it starts working on those things. It actually allows for things when you don't do it for 30 minutes to get better. And it's definitely one of those processes. But that's that zone where now with this particular technology, just by swallowing the water and flowing through the body, you're going to start getting actually detoxing acid, which is something we try to do it with alkaline water, we try to do it with superfoods, we try to do it with all these other crazy things. But now I finally have the system to where it forces the bond to occur, and once that bond happens, what's great is that high-level hydroxyl, the OH molecule combines with the heavy hydrogens, the H, an acid inside the cell, and makes water. So now the water actually helps flush the cell and make it cleaner. So we're actually using the exact system of why the cell got unhealthy as the system for how to make it healthy again. So now you can see how the concept here is why so many people say, I exercise 6 hours a day, I eat a diet that only involves like 2 grains of rice and a little bit of salt. What if, I can't lose any weight, I can't get my body to balance, I'm always sleepless, I'm not, all these other concerns, because you're really not changing the inside of the cell. You're trying to do all this stuff on the outside. And it's funny because with the human body, the 70-something% of you that's water, 52% of that's actually the water that we find floating around the cells. And then most of what's inside the cells is cytoplasm and a few other different protein molecules and things like that. And it's a little bit of water in there. So once it goes acid, the whole cell is pretty well on that heavy issue of having acids inside, and that changes the cell membrane over. So when you understand chemical and electrolysis function, when you are a positive, anything that comes near you that's positive, this includes oxygen, magnesium, calcium, vitamin K, vitamin D, all the things we make in our cells, then your cell rejects it because energetically, and the electrolysis system can't absorb it. Once it gets too close, it repels. So until you change the cell to actually be a negative, cell membrane charge, now oxygen, magnesium, vitamin K, all this stuff wants to go in and absorb very quickly and rapidly. But until you get away from the acid, because again, acids, high level hydrogen concentration is a very high positive charge. So that programs the cell to be positive and it pushes everything away. Once you get everything back to more of a water balance and better on the negative, it starts absorbing material back in. So that helps.
So him taking the MSM, he should
definitely with the MSM, and then like I say, the difference here is that just increases good function. It starts the whole cells to do their job a little bit better, and then the Cosmo G liquid actually will start the whole cleansing process and doing the critical stabilization there.
So the cells that need to be detoxed, are they being detoxed through the liver, through the kidney, through the
Correct.
whatever function?
Each individual area. So that's
all at once.
Really all at once. I mean, because you're programming the water of the body. So that's where, like when we talk today,
So how do you manage a slower or a quicker detox for different organs?
In this way, you don't. But the byproduct, here's the difference, is the byproduct is water. So the byproduct actually helps clean the cell. Versus if you do, say, like a flush, like when we did the actual, the acidic flush of the liver to break up all the bile rocks. You're using acid to actually try to erode those materials in order to get them. It didn't change really too much inside the actual cells. It actually, if anything, a lot of times, and I think that's where with pH balance, it could actually acidify the system. So the system has to produce much more pH balancing systems, and that's where everything you eat, everything you bring into the body, it either forces your body to go more acidic or it forces your body to go more alkaline. And both of those are bad. We want it to be in the middle and be in homeostasis. So that's the most important concept.
Alkaline is not better than acidic.
It can be for certain things, but as soon as you go to alkaline, then now you start depositing other types of chemicals and different things start happening in the body. Acidity, I think, hurts more. So it's one of those things where when you're in the acid state, then that actually, you feel it more. You feel it in your joints. You feel it in your body. You feel it in your muscles. And people maybe don't sense or feel alkalinity or alkalinosis as much, but then you see people who go really heavily towards like high level alkaline diets, and then you see their level of calcium nodulating inside their joints, or really heavy osteoarthritis, or they start developing cataracts, so they start developing arthrosclerosis, or areas where you're just lacking everything with calcium because now you're so alkaline, you are trying to shove the calcium someplace else. Instead of keeping the good stabilization and the balance inside the body.
ECO says you should only use the alkaline, most of the month, and then one day out of the month, you're supposed to use the
hydrogen.
Yeah.
Again, the ECO's doing the same thing. It's funny because what they're doing is they're programming the water at one stage to have a lot of hydrogen molecules, which means it's a lower pH. And then other times they're taking more of the hydrogen away and making it more of an acidic concept. So that's where potential hydrogen means the amount of hydrogen concentration you have in a liquid. So pH is what we're trying to look at. The cell has its own concept, and yes, stomach acid cells are the only cells that actually prefer to be in a generally acidic environment. Everywhere else, the idea is you actually want them to be in a much more homeostasis, 7.2, 7.3 kind of zone. Go up to 8, bad things happen. Go down to 5, bad things happen. That's where we're really trying to understand the stability there. But yeah, that's.
So is number 2 okay to get the water, or number 1 from the Echo machine?
Well, I mean, it's really not one better or the other. The idea is you have to assess yourself as to how you're feeling and what's going on in terms of what you're trying to balance.
You have to know
So
what the indicator is.
correct. So when you're using the indicator, that's giving you the idea as to how to get your system into that zone where you're using the right type of water, which is why it's easiest with spring to just stay kind of in that middle zone and say, I don't really know, versus trying to always manipulate the whole process of the pH. So
with the water, like she told me the other day that I had whatever I was tasting, said I had fear, anxiety, something to do with my kidneys. Now, if you do that each day, is it going to be different? Are you going to taste something different depending on?
depends on, yes, there's a little bit of that, but your body's kind of in a general state. The nice thing with the Cosmo D liquid is that eventually it corrects the issue internally on the cell by cell basis, so you're cleansing and purifying the whole way. Eventually the water will taste like nothing. And that's the benefit, that's the strength of it when it actually has its function, is you finally go, oh wow, no acids are actually being popped out onto the tongue, and I'm not tasting anything but plain clear water. So that means that there's nothing left to bond, or at least in high enough concentration where you're tasting it. So as Silky was saying, it's that place where eventually, yeah, maybe it tastes like a little bit of salt water or like a tear style saline kind of, but that's generally the positive sort of balance inside the body. Any other flavor, there's something bonding into that, and that's where we know oil pulling does that process, and this works along that same lines. So it definitely has some benefits. And like I say, I should have the delivery within the next day or so. So I'll start actually being able to distribute the bottles, and we'll be able to carry that material as well. Well, it's a new product, something that I just picked up from Germany, and like I say, we'll get into that one a little bit later. But it's just an interesting new detoxification system that I really enjoy.
I had this in the car for a while and smell it. I just opened
Is this
it.
a trick question?
Yeah. I just opened it. It's the weirdest thing I've ever.
Will you smell the bottle or smell the inside?
First of all, I have some kind of dizzy. I don't know why, but
Oh yeah, that's not.
what happened to that water?
It's been heated and it's probably done some sort of breakdown. You can see in the bottom. Do you see that?
So
This
should I
is
be
water,
drinking?
or is
It's
this?
supposed to be the core water. I drink them, but I didn't realize that something does something to it. I mean, I hadn't drank that one maybe in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So the calcium is probably settling out, potassium carbonate, and so what's happened is either by
Oh,
heating,
it's a carbonate?
well, they're adding the minerals to it. So this is the problem why fortified waters, to me, and that stuff can start to again break down, and now you're getting a new ion forming in here, probably something along the lines of and that's where the smell's coming from the chloride. And so if they are bonding that material in here, you're getting some type of reaction between the sodium, potassium bicarbonate, and the magnesium chloride. And so, yeah, I would not.
I'm not, yeah.
No.
I don't feel like that. Usually
I
that
wouldn't.
water is really tasty. When I have no water on me, I get that one. But
Something, yeah. Bad reaction. Bad reaction.
You said it's been in there for 2 weeks?
yeah, and I've never had. I can open up
It
water.
smells like beach clothes.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
the weirdest
chloride.
thing. I've
The
never
chloride's
had
doing
that
something
before.
funky in that.
Yay!
Yay! Tainted water. This is so fun.
Somebody take a drink and let's see what it does.
No! Jim's the only one that I'm going to say that, Jim will bite the bullet on that one. Welcome, everybody. Well, that was an interesting intro. Is everyone really confused, though, for about the last, 3.5, 4 or 5 minutes? I gave a class on Saturday at Artisan's Palette, and we have a new product that's come in from Germany. And it's a very high concentration hydroxyl water. And it has a ton of great detail behind it. It's definitely become a part of my practice. And when you experience it, there's really not a way of saying anything about it. You just have to drink it and go, oh, wow, that's something I've never had before, because it is a diagnostic technique and then also a cleansing system for detoxing acids out of the body. So very different. Cosmer G liquid. I might try to get her to change the name.
Cosmo
She
G.
already has it back.
Cosmo G.
Cosmergy.
Mergy.
Cosmo Energy. Cosmos Energy is the fusion there. Cosmergy liquid. Yeah, no, it's a different thing. Fantastic. Okay, let's get moving. Tea time. Who here drinks tea?
Depends what kind.
Yeah.
What type of tea do you drink?
Okay. I like the chocolate.
Chocolate tea. Okay.
Herbal.
Which type of herbal tea?
Huh?
Which type of herbal tea?
Just about any of it.
Okay. Any favorites though?
Green tea.
You like green tea? Okay. Fantastic.
Spring Dragon loves me.
Right now, for the moment. So what's great about tea is this. I love when you can actually do something for yourself that you can trust, that you can learn to experiment and be confident in, and understand how to try to benefit your body the best possible. That's what's most important, is really being able to say, I know that this particular food, this particular tea, this particular compound has this general property, and I'm gonna work on it myself. I'm gonna see how this goes. You're empowering yourself. You're creating better health function, and you're learning this process that you can actually. No more notes in class. Come on, people. Let me say.
Just goes class.
We did. Yes.
It really is important to me for someone to actually get through this process of being exposed to natural healing and to see something really have an effect. So when it comes to chaga tea, what's your effect? What comes from that?
Just feels like I'm walking through the forest.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's when I'm in say the redwoods up Sequoia. You just feel good.
You feel good. You feel positive. You feel
And
balanced.
that's when I drink it. It's just like earthy, mossy.
Yeah.
It's good.
Feels good. Feels good. I like that. So it's amazing to me, because here's where I find that our system fails us once more, and that's just, we always talk about stuff like this in the beginning. See, you guys threw me all the way off. We haven't breathed yet.
Yeah.
Coming back. We forgot our actual breathing technique. The
liquid.
liquid concept and the water threw me off. So, for those of us who are following online, for everybody who's here, welcome back. And it's definitely one of those where our 7 seconds of breath in, 8 seconds of breath out, doing that twice, 30 seconds of just general breathing, just to get everything moving so much more functionally here. So if you follow along with me, again, diaphragm muscles, most important part of this process. You really want to see the stomach pop out as much as possible and then suck in as much as possible during your breath technique. So 7 seconds of breath in. Big full lungs, holding for a couple of seconds there once that's in, and 8 seconds of breath out. All the way down where technically nothing's left, and then 7 seconds of breath back in. And then 8 seconds of breath out. All the way down to where nothing's left. Okay, and 30 seconds of just normal, natural, functional breathing. Excellent. Okay. So, tea is one of the strongest ways I know how to enhance whatever water you might be bringing into your body. Water is very important, and I love the fact that we have a ton of options. We have the availability. We're not just walking down and knocking a few goats or pigs out of the way and drawing water out of a little pond or a well and having to fight for resources. We have the option of picking up water from a store. We have options for drinking water out of our tap. Don't recommend that one for anybody, but it is one of those to where we have a plethora of these opportunities. Tea, on the other hand, tea finally lets you say, okay, water, powerful thing that you are, how about you start learning some new tricks and learn how to do a few more things for me? Really start to say to yourself, I've got a problem, I've got an issue, and how do I really make this water do something more special, more functional for where my body is right now? Here's where this comes from. And this is, I think, one of the most interesting failures of this system. We still cannot say medically that chamomile tea actually causes relaxation. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard about anything when it comes to an herb that we know, as far as it's been around humans, that's exactly what it does. Relaxation, general calming function, really good essential oil smell. But chamomile has this beautiful opportunity for just creating happiness and peace, relaxation. I mean, I'm sure there are some of those times that you're going to get a person who has a really interesting physiology and maybe they don't react the same way. So it is a process though. But understand that when we are adding certain herbal compounds to water, that's what we're trying to develop, and we're trying to understand this. So this is a practice called shamanism. And I mean, shamanism is probably the oldest system that we know of on this planet for understanding the way that herbs and human bodies can interact with each other in order to see some sort of change or function. Shamanism, again, as much as it's a word that now is looked on as close to something like witchcraft or something along those lines, it really was just understanding the planet and the things around it and humans and how we interact before the concept of medicine was ever really developed. The idea is that shamanism came with a spiritual practice, that you had to be in contact with your spiritual center, or you had to have a medium of some sort act as a spiritual center for you if you were experiencing health issues or health concerns. Yes, there's a bunch of relationships there where chanting and singing and dancing and moonlight festivals and all this stuff was a part of the different cultures we have. But this rich history, 15,000 years for some of the cultures, it tells us that we've been practicing this process of self-care and self-healing and self-management before we ever had something known as the FDA, before we ever had something known as the AMA, or any of the existing large superstructures that are out there across the United States that we call hospitals in order to take care of humans. This is the oldest running knowledge system that I think we have on our planet. This was oral tradition, passed down generations after generations after generation. Some of the oldest texts and writings that we still have on this planet are usually about shamanism and the idea of herbal healing, natural healing, and that's where we really want to understand for ourselves why today this is so powerful. This is considered forbidden knowledge now. It's one of those things where if you go around and make your own tea and try to balance your own body by yourself, you're taking your life into your own hands. You're practicing, something that could get you put in the hospital for a little while. And there is some truth to that because certain compounds are very powerful. But there's also some comfort and some ability to have some joy. Grabbing a lemon twist and throwing that in water and drinking that water when you're having an upset stomach is very simple tea. It's just a very easy way of understanding your body and natural healing. I think the Chinese actually are the ones who've categorized and cataloged more information about herbal compounds and how they affect the human body. I love the Ayurvedic medicine system. They do a lot for the overall functions, and they do talk about herbals. But the Chinese, they just have text after text after text about what herbs and how functionally you can use them to treat the human system. A lot of the words that we use inside Raw Revelations here, Dong Guai and Erythro, and a lot of these compounds, they're here because thousands of people and thousands of years have gone by of people using them routinely for certain functions. And so we have some confidence in the fact that people who've spent their lives, and that's where it was so unique. It used to be as the monk traditions were around, one group would just spend their whole living system, centuries, working on one particular compound, one particular plant, understanding it as the best they possibly could. And they would write down every bit of information they could find about how to utilize the plant, what it was good for, and thank God for them, because it gave us some ability to not think that when you're walking through a field or going into a store that you have to start all over again every single time for trying to understand these compounds. So I think it's funny because then the Chinese pretty well walled in for a long time. They built a wall in order to celebrate that thing. But the Great Wall of China was one of those. They protected their secrets. They protected their treasures, and they knew herbalism and tonic material and health was one thing they were trying to protect. It was really the British that actually opened up the concept of the tea trade. We all know in the American history system here, we like to celebrate the fact that a tea party actually started the whole Revolutionary War. Really, it was the taxation of that tea that people were more upset about than anything. But the British were the ones who had the navy that brought teas from all over the world to different areas and started the concept of global commerce. The reason why we can sit inside a building here like Raw Relations and get material from all different sectors of this world and know that each of their different functions have some benefit for our bodies, whether it's chaga or paliarco or astragalus or reishi mushroom, all of these, they give us this ability today. If we hadn't gone through that process, then we would not be where we are today, understanding teas the way we do. So now we exist in a huge market economy. Everybody out there, you can order anything you want online and have it shipped to you by tomorrow, and sometimes delivered by a drone. No, it's Star Wars. That's but it is interesting how this process today. We now have entire practices built upon the idea of using, whether it's Chinese herbs or Ayurvedic herbs or South American herbal traditions, North American herbal traditions, and we really want to try to understand how this can become a benefit for each individual person here. Everyone, I think, actually has a very interesting kinship to certain plants. Plants that just call out to your system for being very beneficial to you. I can't get over the fact of how peppermint does something very fun and exciting for me, no matter what. I just always feel better. I think even on the way over here, I had a little peppermint protein bar, and just the whole process of doing it, I was happy. I mean, it's just one of these things. It just does something to the body system.
And sugar?
What's that?
One's the sugar.
There was actually 0 grams sugar in that. It wasn't the sugar. Yeah, no, not at all. It was the fact that smell, that function. Studies have actually shown if you pop peppermint in the morning at the same time every single day, your cognitive function, your overall mood, and your stress levels plummet immediately. So when they are, again, I don't like the fact that they use this, but what they did was they did a study where they gave students a peppermint candy every single day at the beginning of a particular class, and they tested their cognitive functioning capabilities when they had the peppermint, when they did it. And they saw that there was a remarkable increase in their overall creative thinking skills, cognitive skills, and communication skills.
It increases, not plummets.
Increases.
He said plummets.
What's that?
He said plummets.
Anything that stress plummets.
Stress
Oh,
plummets,
okay.
yes. So we are stepping forward now, and the groups and people who are really promoting natural healing are coming forward and saying, we'd really like to make a big difference in our own lives. We'd like to have our own apothecaries, our own medicine cabinets filled with natural herbs that don't have as many side effects as what we see coming away from the pharmaceutical world. So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this whole process. Why each Thursday we try to talk about the functionality here. So I just love learning this type of interesting function. If you're talking about an herbal tea, you're really talking most often about a leaf or some aspect of a plant that, when put into water, is something, I know it's in a classification to where it's different, but I love the fact that coffee is technically an herbal tea. I mean, that's really what it is. When we look at balancing our body with any kind of compound, like I was saying, lemon water, that's a tea. You're using the fruit of the lemon tree and you're placing that in the water. It doesn't have to be just a green tea or a black tea or some sort of compound like those. That particular plant's again very well revered, and it's used all over the world for everything from casual ceremonies and enjoyment all the way up to the crowning of emperors and different people on this planet. It really makes a lot of sense that we learn to understand how to operate in this zone. Um, Leaves, on the average, need to be somewhere between about 110 to 120 degrees to be able to actually not destroy too much of the actual plant in the herbal process when you're brewing a leaf of a plant. And usually steep for anywhere between 1 to 5 minutes is the average. Leaves that have been procured or dried or brought to market in a fermentation process can have different specifications. But for the most part, that's a pretty good idea. So if you have a hot pot, you're able to set the actual temperature. If you're boiling water to the point of 212 degrees, some of these actual herbal compounds just destroy. They're more flavoring than they are really functional. Sometimes you have to be very careful on how high of intensity you're actually taking that plant versus things like bark or any really heavy woody, very thick stem function. You might have to get that all the way up to 210 degrees, just below boil, and actually boil it for 15 to 20 minutes and kind of simmer and steep it down to the point. That's like chaga. Chaga is this really thick, strong mushroom, a very high density compound, and it really does well to just slow simmer, kind of just low rolling boil for days, weeks, months on end. Very, very good functionality. So when we're understanding the difference between leaves and bark, there's ways we have to try to approach each individual tea and learn it as best as possible, understand what it's doing for us and how it works. That's very different than flowers. Flowers actually a lot of times are best brewed even cold or very, very low temperature, room temperature water, or sun brewed, to where all you're doing is allowing ambient heat coming into the material for some of those really interesting polysaccharide compounds that were used to make that flower. Hibiscus tea, a really good example. Really wonderful plant for balancing high blood pressure conditions. We see it doing a great level of relaxation for most people, and it's definitely one of those where it's, I think, best brewed in just a regular room temperature water glass and just allowed to sit there for sometimes a day or two and be able to drink the byproduct of that versus any kind of heat. It definitely still tastes like hibiscus if you put a lot of heat to it, but it's one of those where it seems to drop some functionality out of it. So learning these tips and tricks on how to brew your particular individual one of the herbal selections that you enjoy might take a little bit of time, but there's a lot of people out there who love sharing this information, and it's hard to really say on one class how to handle every single type of tea that's out there. It's interesting because really I go down to that zone of really looking at like salt and shilajit and things like that. When we put these high level minerals in water, it's the same concept. We're using, it's a tea system. That's what we're doing here. So it is to me very, very important to understand how well or how functional this process can be and how you can do tea at any point in time, all times of the day, and really have a good practice about yourself. Um, I enjoy doing a lot of my teas on the stove in the best way possible, especially like the mushrooms. Mushrooms love to be abused. They love to be heated. They love to be broken down for hours inside of warm water, steeped for a long period of time. And that's very different than something like a goji berry, or if you're doing elderberries or bilberries or bearberries or anything probably that ends in berry. But it's one of those processes that's actually very 1 to 2 minutes. Do it quick. Keep the heat temperature down very low, probably about 130 to 150 degrees, and just get it to where there's some color in the water, showing that there's been some exchange of ions, and then you use that new programmed water for what you're trying to get out of it. pretty much everything that we make in terms of a smoothie, anything besides really a juice is something where I would say it goes into this category of being a tea. And that's where you're technically just adding and programming water for it to come into the body and to try to see this whole process. So I want to jump into understanding this for you, for everybody here, to go home with a few ideas on how and why for each of the main types of teas that we have available, or teas that are really quickly available at local stores. Something that you don't have to go to a too high level specialty. Anybody here climb Mount Everest recently? No? Yeah, last weekend? Everybody took care of that one? Okay, no. Sometimes really finding certain teas across this planet require trekking into very, very scary places. So we don't always have to jump into, the jungles of South America or the high levels of Everest. But it's nice that we have other people who do that for us. So I really would love to go through this list and for everyone to kind of just know some solutions, some things as to why and how to use these particular plants and what they do for us. So, Gynostema. As Miriam was saying, right now Spring Dragon loves me. Gynostema is a very interesting one. This is a grass. Gynostema is one that really has a high level antioxidant function. Hi, welcome. And Gynostema for me is actually the great thing because we've seen a lot of issues. Come on in, sit down. Seen a lot of issues in the green tea trade and a lot of the ways that the exports for certain green teas are containing a lot of heavy metals, a lot of different contaminants, everything from bird feces to arsenic to tons of different issues because of the process that they go and how they make green tea. So Gynostema being a grass, we're getting the same antioxidant functions and sometimes even better than some certain types of green tea, but we're not seeing a lot of the detriments that are experienced by the other green tea system. Tastes very similar, really simple and easy. It's definitely a low heat extraction system that Gynostema enjoys. It's something that you don't have to overboil or put a lot of hot water to it. Average person would steep one of these bags for anywhere between 3 to 7 minutes in about medium temperature water, 150 degrees, 100 maybe 160 at the most, 165. And that's because even with the Spring Dragon, it uses a Gynostema base, but it has things like schizandra berry and ginseng and euthro and those other herbal compounds mixed in with it. So this is a blend for the Spring Dragon material, but it contains Gynostema, and it's one of the really amazing grasses to think about getting into your dietary structure. Definitely good for midday, but it works well as a non-caffeine containing material right before bed. So if you're looking for a tea to enjoy before sleep, then Gynostema becomes a really, really wonderful solution for most people to try to balance their overall body. So we see a ton of benefits there.
Would you say it's relaxing or neutral?
It is neutral, I would say, but it is one of those where I think drinking warm liquid is relaxing. I think that's just a functional piece of it. Does it do anything to where it enhances relaxation? Not so much. Schizandra berry and a few of the other ones might help relaxation. So for people who are really full of anxiety and needing something to bring themselves back down to a calm state, they might want to work with something more like chaga mushroom. Chaga mushroom, very relaxing. Good antioxidant level, really good for increasing melatonin, and definitely one of the few here that I would say not many people should be without a little bit of chaga mushroom. What's great about chaga, down there at the bottom, if you are following along, is that chaga actually does so many different functions for us. I don't believe we've really come to the beginning of the understanding for what chaga is and how it works. We just know that yes, high level antioxidant function. The big powerhouse compound in here that it gives us more than anything is something called superoxidase diabutase, or abbreviation is SOD. So superoxidase diabutase, if you really want to know that. But the reason that this is so important is it's one of the highest level antioxidants that we can have inside our human body. Really, really important for a lot of cleansing processes, detoxification, keeping our DNA clean and keeping our cells very, very healthy and clear of a lot of those compounds that typically cause us to see abnormal cell production to proliferate. So when we love to understand how to get our body back into a good function, we really want to use chaga mushroom as kind of a starter block. Our country still not really recognizing too much in terms of the major medical system on the functionality, but other countries, especially Russia, lots of the areas there north of China, they really revere chaga as having one of the best medicinal properties for helping the body stay clear of abnormal cells. So we really, really love this whole process. David Wolf wrote an entire book just on this one herb, very phenomenal book. And I don't think we're really done with the idea of understanding all the other functionalities.
The book has really good recipes,
Yes.
whether they're food or drink it, which
Yeah.
I was a little surprised.
Surprise.
I was like, don't you just drink it? I
No,
come to find out you do everything, but it's
chaga,
making brownies to
Uh-huh.
make everything.
It becomes a really,
Really
really
amazing
awesome
recipe.
process. Yeah. Chaga chocolates, you can get, chaga different types of pasta. They've used it in just a ton of different ways. And it really is one of those, like turmeric, I think, the more you have, typically, the better off things are for you. For people who are experiencing a lot of insomnia, this is a really good first start. So when it comes to the reason why chaga has its black coloration is for a compound called melanin. Everybody knows that is the thing that gives us our beautiful tans and skin complexions. But melanin is the precursor in our body when we're having good health for producing melatonin. So if you're having trouble sleeping, the idea is put more melanin and antioxidants and good food and good water back in your body. Then usually you can start producing your own melatonin. That becomes much healthier, much happier, and a better way of treating yourself than the idea of taking a pharmaceutical or some sort of over-the-counter sleep aid. Really, really key piece in trying to get us back to good health. I definitely recommend that for everybody. Anybody who says chaga doesn't taste that great,
Try again.
yeah, try it. Yeah, it's delicious. I mean, it really is just delicious. Top all the way down. Moldy chaga tastes good. That's how good chaga is.
It hits different notes the longer it's
Mm-hmm.
simmered.
Yep. Oh yeah, it goes to like a chocolatey kind of crazy cool area in the middle there, and then it swings back to being much more of that like you're saying the being inside a redwood forest. I love that idea. So chaga being very calming, being very relaxing, good for sleep function and antioxidants. A little different than one of the compounds we don't have here in the store, but I definitely recommend it as if you're looking for something for energy, start with something like guayusa. Guayusa is actually a very interesting leaf that occurs in the family of plants that everyone knows as yerba mate. So the yerba mate family of South American trees is really the same family of plants that we see in China that produce green tea and all the other different derivatives that we get on their continent. So it's really interesting. The guayusa material, about 130 some milligrams of caffeine per cup. So better than most cups of black coffee you could even get out there, even most espressos. But the great part about it in being a leaf and being a green plant that doesn't require any roasting or any sort of major fungicides or larvicides or anything sprayed on top of it, which is what flavors Starbucks coffee for all of you who want to understand why it has that particular function for making you use the restroom really quickly. The guayusa actually has a compound in it called L-theanine. And L-theanine is this very particular amino acid that allows for long-standing relaxation and eventually production of a compound called GABA. So GABA is a very interesting compound that our bodies produce in order to sustain what they call restful relaxation, or excited relaxation. Is that the way they put it? It's very energetic, and then at the same time, you could probably fall asleep pretty easily. GABA is very important for actually decreasing what we call the influences of stress. So when it comes to adaptogenic herbs, we really want to see guayusa be one of these places where more people are discovering how to do things better and healthier for themselves. If you like caffeine, go ahead and have some caffeine. Do it from a guayusa plant and see if it actually makes your day feel a little bit more stable. If the reason you're taking caffeine is because of your job or commuting or your kids keep you up all night, whatever that might be, Try to remove those issues. Send the kids away, just quit your job, stop commuting. Those processes will help you get a much better sleep at night. Finally get some relaxation there if you can just send the kids to grandma's house. So this process is one where guayusa really is another one of these leaves, like I say. On the heating instructions, average person, 2 to 5 minutes, really. If you go over, like I do, like half-day sort of extractions of the guayusa, it gets really strong really fast. And most people don't know how to use that much energy. I find great avenues for all of that to come out in creative processes and brain functions. And the guayusa is one of those where it's medium heat material, not a hot, very heavy rolling boil, about 150, 170 degrees if you're doing the programmable hot pot there. But really amazing, high level energy, also relaxation. I love it when things like that are balanced, when they're actually working for us well. I mentioned this for 2 seconds, but I really want to come back and really go through an understanding for the human body and why, just like chaga, everybody should be trying to bring turmeric into their system much more functionally. Turmeric is probably the medicine that I would say we have almost as, it's one of the most researched minus reishi mushrooms. So when it comes to understanding this plant and human relationships for beating inflammation inside the body, keeping brain function and cognitive skills, excellent digestion, overall good liver operation, better immune system, turmeric is by far one of these just strong powerhouses, and it's such a simple little plant. It just really is so interesting how it doesn't grow in crazy places like chaga or require a bunch of heavy agricultural production. It honestly is a weed in India. I mean, it grows everywhere. Any place that it can possibly get hold, it just starts growing and doing its life. Turmeric has this great capability of being both like a liquid tea, but I think it's funny because I love to mention it does best when it's expressed inside the body with some sort of oil. So there's a recipe out there that's called golden milk. If anybody's ever experienced golden milk, really, really delicious tea. And again, one of those we're using as a milk base instead of a water base, but you're brewing the actual turmeric inside the milk and letting the fats extract a lot of the compounds. Turmeric has a ton of antioxidants, really interesting different compounds like curcumin, one of these great anti-inflammatories that work well for heart systems, for brain function, and things like turmerone and turmerol, other compounds inside turmeric that we really don't even understand yet what they fully do in terms of science. We just know that the Indian people and the Ayurvedic medicine system really reveres turmeric for its functionality and how it can help a person be in good health, reduce mental stress, get ourselves back into overall good functionality inside the human body. So those 4, I think, are kind of interesting because I would say really everybody out there can have and use any of these, and most people are going to have a really pleasant response and a good reaction, and yet they don't have to know anything more than the idea of just put it in some water, try it out, see how it feels, enjoy it routinely, and check yourself on your issues or concerns. Now we get into kind of a classification of where there are some ways that you can actually specifically use certain herbal tea compounds. And the first one I want to talk about is called Chunca Piedra. So anybody here ever pass any kind of stones out of their kidneys? Terrible, not fun. Prior to you actually having to pass something like this, if the doctor would have said, oh, hey, by the way, we found some evidence that there might be some stone formation, if they just would have started you on Chunca Piedra, it probably would have gone a lot easier, a lot smoother, a lot simpler.
Is it Chinese?
No, it's actually Mexican. Chunca Piedra. Okay, I say it with a good, horrible, terrible, right? Yeah. No, that wasn't good. I didn't want to.
Is it a leaf?
Chunca Piedra actually is a leaf. It's got an interesting process there, and about 150 degrees again on the temperature, and definitely one of those that most people would want to do anywhere between a 5 to 10 minute steep, but off of the stove, not while the actual water is getting warm. Let it be something where it's doing passive steeping, and that process really allows to. And Chunka Piedra means stone breaker. So when it comes to eradicating different types of kidney stones and any type of issues in the body, and also things like cataracts, arthrosclerosis, osteoarthritis. Really, really strong functionality for removing ill-placed calcium in bad locations of the human body.
What about the little concentrated drops?
Those are fine. Depends on if they've been doing like an alcohol extract or something like that, to where they're pulling the chunk of pedra. Some plants don't do very well for alcohol extraction and tinkering, like turmeric. I don't recommend alcohol extraction for turmeric. Chunk of pedra, there is some good functionality behind that. The reason they do an alcohol extraction or a tincture system is because you're trying to use the alcohol to pull more of the plant compounds out. Then the boiling process might start to remove. So you're doing it with no heat, and there is some functionality behind that. A lot of what we're talking about, these teas can be used in different ways, and tincturing is another, or oil extraction is another way that we see good functionality. But no, you can use the tincture, the alcohol extract drops. I would just mix it with some type of juice or put it into water, and that way it can rehydrolyze. A lot of these compounds need to be in the presence. Yep, just put it in water.
Cold water.
But here's the one place here. Cells, on the average, respond differently to alcohol and alcohol-like compounds than what they do to water. And for things like the kidneys, they are made to actually process the filtered water of the human body. So if you're trying to remove a stone that's inside the kidneys, the easiest and fastest way to get that delivered to that body is by delivering it through water. Instead of actually doing an extract system, that the kidneys would actually maybe reject the water or reject an alcohol-based tincture and try to balance that. So some people, I would say, for things like Chunka Piedra, the water system means that you can actually reprogram most of the body to be anti-calcium and to start removing excess calcium out of a lot of different parts. I would try, if a person's really attempting to get stone out of the body, also combining that with magnesium, obviously topically to the area around the kidneys, and by increasing vitamin D and allowing that, because that's how we balance and stabilize calcium as well in the body. But for removal and detoxification, for anybody who's experienced that, or just anybody who knows that they've been taking a calcium supplement for far too long, then they can remove some of that excess calcium and get it out of the body. Very important in that process. So then we have things like Pau d'Arco. So I love Pau d'Arco, and I would say that a lot of people can benefit from this one, but those of us who are struggling or dealing with any kind of candida overgrowth, which is most of the population, has some level of candida overgrowth, then we really get a benefit from using Pau d'Arco as a great system for cleansing a lot of microbes out of the body, yeast bacteria, funguses, different types of molds, and anything that a lot of times doesn't work well. Pau d'Arco tea, again, was discovered in South American jungles. Those guys seem to produce a lot of really awesome teas down there. But the reason this was known for what it does is that different generations of hunters would go out into the forest, and they would remember, oh, that tree fell down when this such and such was this high. And then this person grows up, and then he has a son, and he goes, well, that same tree actually fell down when I was that high. What's happening here? Most trees in the Amazonian rainforest break down very quickly, and the molds and the funguses tear apart the trees and recycle them into the soil. Pau d'Arco resists the operation of molds and funguses, so it actually has this great benefit about protecting itself. So this particular tree really works well for just a general cleansing. A lot of people don't realize that everything from your car seats to your recliner to your mattress can be full of mold. We live in just areas where maybe near the beach or any place where there's just been any kind of water leakage. Molds and mildews and things like that inside homes are very common these days. And if we've been breathing those in or living in an environment that's mold rich, then we probably want to start using this as a good cleansing technique for getting rid of it out of the body. Very, very important to understand how Paliarca does this great function for us. So great cleansing. It isn't bark, so rules apply here. 15, 20 minutes, actually slow rolling boil, and then cover and let simmer for even 1 to 2 days. You can just leave it on the stove. Let it just be, constantly taking material in. I probably would say with Paliarca, I'll use it for a week, dose after dose. I'll boil it continuously for a week. Chaga, it's like 3 months, 5 months until my wife says, "Hey, it's time to throw that away." So it is one of those where you don't want to underuse a really great medicinal compound, just as much as we want to get the most benefit, the most effects out of the material. Paliarca works really well with a lot of other techniques for balancing things like candida and mold, but I definitely use that as a good basis for helping that one issue more routinely. I mentioned the hibiscus flower. I mentioned a couple of things about it that were really important. A lot of good function comes to us for being a very good blood pressure stabilizer. It definitely has that ability for just calming the body. With a flower like this, just like chamomile flowers and things like that, really, really low temperature, just warm water. It doesn't have to be anything really heavy heat. Flowers are delicate. Be nice to them. And what's that?
So beautiful.
They are very beautiful.
The
Fresh
water
hibiscus
so
tea is
pretty.
phenomenal. Yes, very, very delicious. But that's one of these unique processes there. We really want to use that for something to try to give those polyphenols that are inside the hibiscus flower, because it's meant to be a good blood pressure stabilizer. And again, a lot of people can feel any kind of moodiness or irritability decrease. It is a stress reliever for some individuals, and it just has some great flavor. I think it's one of those nice blended ones with things like Paliarca. It doesn't have a great overtone or flavor to it, but you can throw some hibiscus in at the end and actually get some other function to it, and really, really enjoy a compound like that. So the what happened? So then we move into something called SCX. SCX is actually a blend. It's a different series of roots and herbal compounds. Very famous and well known the turn of the century for being a particular treatment for the western prairies and for places where doctors just weren't available. SCX became a very strong anti-cancer function because it cleans the lymph system, it cleans the digestive system, it does a great job of just causing the liver to be better functioning, and we see a lot of the herbal tonics that are inside SCX. I would say the reason I put a caveat to this one is that SCX, it's not something I would say everyone needs every single day, all day long. You use it more like a cleansing tea, so it actually 2 weeks of being on it and then take some time away from it, or if you're really experiencing some issues where you feel like you need to use SCX for a long time, you take a small 2 to 4 ounce shot of it in the morning, 2 to 4 ounce shot of it in the evening, and you just keep working with that to see if you're actually able to remove different aspects of the body. Like I say, definitely very famous in the cancer prevention world, really good for allowing for lymph toxicity and digestive issues to be relieved and remedied, and definitely one of those ones where it's stood the test of time and the scrutiny and the abuse from the medical establishment and the FDA, where they don't like to approve herbal compounds for being able to treat anything. SCX has actually been proven in every arena that I know it's entered for being a great detoxifier and a great organ stabilizer, and something that a lot of people can get some benefit from. But if you're going to start a regimen of SCX, just talk to somebody, let them know what the goals are, who's working with health and nutrition and understanding herbs. And there are 2 different versions out there that I know of. There's an 8 herb SCX and then a 4 herb SCX. And this is a process where you can just see what those blends can do for you and see if those are some benefits to get back into the body for yourself. But think of it that way, good detoxification tea, and definitely some major function. So I mentioned the idea, drinking tea like where you have just tea time, and you're just drinking some guided stem, tea at the end of the day, it's very different than the concept of actually using a tea for a cleanse or for a system to actually pull different compounds out of the body, like Chunkapiedra, like Paliarco, or Essiax. The idea is cleansing with those teas means you're using them very consistently. I usually recommend for people who are starting on Paliarco and know they have an issue inside their body that they use and drink only Paliarco for 2 weeks and really program their system to be full of Paliarco compounds in order for it to be an anti-mold, anti-fungus, and to start balancing Candida. And still, you're going to drink some water. Obviously, you're going to be drinking other compounds, but 3 to 4 cups a day is kind of a nice cleanse for Paliarco when you're trying to battle that type of issue in the body. So this is really fun. It's exciting. It's one of those where I love knowing that there is a system here naturally available that you can start to understand and to use from today. We went over a few herbal compounds. There literally is hundreds of different plants out there that when put through water and brought into the body do more functionality for us. And this is where I think, like we said in the beginning, the point is for you to learn your body, learn your issues, and learn what plants are available to start to correct them so you can take the power back inside your own system and start to cleanse and heal your own body. So please go out, enjoy, do this for yourself, have fun with it. Yes, you can take care of you. That's the most important piece. So I'd love if there's any questions. I know it's a ton of issues and things that we could talk about on the herbal teas and extracts. Like I say, if you want to know a particular functionality for a particular herb and what it might do, if you're interested, then that's great. I think that's great learning. If you have just any other general questions, feel free. That helps as well too. And if you are looking to pick up any items, though, and again, 10% discount for anybody who's here when they're joining us for Thoughtful Thursday, feel free to grab those, put them on the counter. That way, Maddie can go ahead and get things checked out, and we can work that process while we're answering some questions. But if anybody has anything particular,
What was that? On that SOD, what was the D part?
dimutase.
How do you spell it?
dimutase. Superoxidase dimutase. TASE. Yep.
Does the chocolate help in pain?
It can, because of it being a very high level antioxidant, and one of the nice things is for the medicinal mushrooms is it does remove other bacteria and material that can't really grow well in the presence of certain medicinal mushrooms. Does it have a direct kill candida function? Not that I've seen actually described. But yes, high-level antioxidant and really good mineralization, which means your body can break things down whenever you're getting good magnesium concentrations. Candida overgrows because you're not digesting sugars well or carbohydrates. And so they're staying inside the digestive cavity, and Candida overgrows to digest those particular compounds. So when you finally get high dose of magnesium, good antioxidants, your digestive system improves, then you're starting to kill Candida naturally. But it's different than, say, like Paliarco, where it actually has compounds that we know directly eliminate yeast bacteria and molds and funguses. Yes?
Okay, so this person I know has a skin disorder.
Mhm.
I've never seen it in person, but it's freaked me out. It had this like, different size, like you can see parasites eating the skin on the topical part of the skin all over.
Mm-hmm.
Does that really do more to the maybe the digestive having problems with that carbs and
Yeah.
the sugars? Because it could be, or it's mold.
Yeah.
Because they're in a moldy situation, the dusty, dirty home. And also, I think all they eat is whatever they eat.
Right. It can be. It's interesting because obviously, if there is, you can actively see where the skin's being destroyed, and there's something underneath of the skin tissues. Paliarco, you can put that in bath water and actually brew a tub of Paliarco and lay in that and see if it has some effect. That actually sounds like it's a little bit more serious though, and I would look to more of a healing salve of some compound, to where you could actually make the pau d'arco tea and then blend that into coconut oil and then apply it so it sticks to the actual skin, or use things like hydroperoxide in the bathtub or borax in the bathtub. Those all do a pretty good number on parasites. But yeah, there's probably an internal issue that has allowed it to reach up to the skin, or some type of behavior or practice that's allowed for the skin to be perforated, and then, like I say, maggots will grow in areas where there's just any kind of open, bloody flesh, and they'll take over.
Can it be due to taking
That's kind of
diazepam?
gross, right?
And that's my answer.
Say that
Can
again.
it be due to taking diazepams for like 30 years? And
Well, I
then
mean,
stop?
that can stop the digestive function. That can, really slow down the bowels, and then that could result in a backup. Fun thing for anybody who's interested, and people who are weird like me, there's something out there called the spontaneous biology theory, and that is you actually develop your own parasites whenever you're not digesting effectively in order to help you clean the body. There's an interesting concept that with all the quote-unquote junk DNA that we supposedly have, that scientists have no idea why it's there, that what we do is we spin off the right piece and then we make a tapeworm if we need help in terms of that function. So spontaneous biology theory is kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously one of those things where even if you know a person's in a bad situation, and there's, it sounds like there could be some type of either self-abuse or abuse going on, get the person help. Get them out of that environment. Try to do the best you can.
They're out of the environment now.
Yeah.
We're working on it. I brought them a lot of things. We'll see.
Yeah. Do the best you can. No, can't help everybody. But it is one of those, anybody who's interested, this is where great solutions keep happening, and we can see a ton of beautiful function come in from their overall system. Like I say, we talked about a few very particular blends. Every small package, especially on this shelf here, has the functionality of being blended into a tea. I just can't do 45 of them in one night, but there are a ton of great compounds out there. And just keep looking, keep searching, try to find your best solution, see what you can do for yourself. That's the most important piece. So I love for everybody to go home, enjoy the weekend, try some good new teas, see what the next steps can be for yourself. And I did this class as a really nice intro. What I'm hoping is I'll be able to actually have another tea sampling and tonic creation workshop to where people can come together. I've got to look at my schedule in September because I have my upcoming expo that's keeping me pretty busy right now. But I'm going to try to put something on the calendar to where we get together, we try some of these teas. We actually learn how to build a tonic that has a particular function in it. So you can go home with your own personalized recipe that happens to just work on, say, rest and relaxation or blood pressure and different issues in the body, and that way you can really see some practical knowledge come in. So it's going to be a bunch of fun, but I just have to look at my calendar and see when I have some opportunities for that. So tons of fun being here with you guys. Thank you so much for coming back. God's blessings for you and everything moving forward. So it's just so good to have you. It's such a shocker and good surprise. So enjoy, have a great time, live life well. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you. Is that recent pictures of your kids?
Yeah.
Older now? Oh.
They are actually older than that now, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, they do.
They even grow taller than you.
Yes, they might.
Mine is 5'10".